you think about the bed itself. Victorian beds vary widely depending on class. The wealthy have large bedsteads, thick mattresses, curtains. The poor may sleep on straw pallets or share cramped spaces. But across classes, the bed is often seen as a place that should be maintained carefully. Sheets should be aired. Mattresses should be beaten and turned. Bedbugs are a constant fear. Yes, bedbugs. They exist. They thrive. And Victorian households fight them with a mix of cleaning, airing, and occasionally very intense chemicals. You glance at the seams of your mattress and decide not to think about it too hard. If you start thinking about bedbugs, you'll never sleep. That's joke 3. Nothing cures insomnia like imagining Victorian bedbugs having a tiny ballroom dance in your sheets. So you focus instead on the soothing parts of the ritual. You settle back into bed, making sure your pillow is positioned just right. Victorian guides sometimes recommend specific sleeping postures. Many suggest sleeping on the side, not the back, to avoid snoring and breathing difficulties. Others recommend raising the head slightly. They also warn against sleeping immediately after eating, because digestion needs time. They recommend a calm period between supper and bed, perhaps an hour or more. You think about your own evening. You've eaten earlier. You've walked. You've settled. Your body is ready. Now, you let yourself become part of the Victorian bedtime rhythm. The room is dim. The air is cooler. The blankets are arranged. Your nightshirt is comfortable. Your mind is quieter. You breathe in, and the lavender scent from your pillow rises gently. It feels like the final touch of the ritual, like a seal on an envelope. And you begin to notice something. The etiquette itself is a sleep aid. The rules may seem fussy, but they create a sense of control. They reduce uncertainty. They signal safety. When you follow a ritual, your body learns what comes next. The nervous system relaxes. The mind stops scanning for tasks. Victorians may not know the neuroscience, but they understand habit. You lie still, listening. The city outside has softened. The noises are fewer now. A distant carriage, a far-off shout. But mostly it's quieter. The fog seems thicker, muffling everything. Your eyelids feel heavier. And as you drift, you realize the Victorian bedtime ritual is not just about sleep. It's about the boundary between public and private life, between day and night, between responsibility and rest. Tomorrow, you'll wake and face the world again. Gaslight, timetables, noise, nerves. But for now, you retire. And the next thing you'll explore is one of the most beloved parts of Victorian sleep culture. The fragrant world of lavender, linen, and pillows stuffed with calm. Because if etiquette prepares the room, lavender prepares the mind. You remain tucked in, and the room continues its slow settling. Wood cooling, fabric relaxing, air turning still. The etiquette has done its work. The space feels orderly, safe, properly prepared for sleep, like the whole building has collectively agreed to stop making a fuss. And now, right beneath your cheek, you have your quiet little Victorian secret. Lavender. You breathe in again, and the scent drifts through you in a way that feels almost unfairly effective. It's floral without being sharp, clean without being cold, soft without being sweet. It smells like the color purple decided to become a lullaby. Victorians adore lavender. They use it everywhere: linen cupboards, wash water, hair, clothing, letters. But at bedtime, it becomes something more. A symbol of calm, a domestic spell. Mainstream historical fact: lavender is widely used in Victorian households for scenting linens and rooms, and is frequently recommended in domestic guides as a soothing herb, including for sleep and nervous complaints. In the Victorian imagination, lavender isn't just pleasant. It's medicinal. It's moral. It's the scent of cleanliness and good management. And you can see why. The Victorian home is full of smells. Coal smoke, cooking, damp, street air, wool, bodies. And not everyone has daily access to hot baths and fancy soap. So fragrance becomes important, not only for comfort, but for identity. A well-kept home smells fresh. A respectable household smells like lavender, rosemary, soap, and crisp linen, not like boiled cabbage and existential dread. You shift your head slightly, and the sachet inside the pillow rustles. It's like a tiny whisper, a reminder that the Victorians are serious about aromatics. Lavender sachets are often handmade. You picture someone, perhaps a mother, perhaps a maid, sewing small cloth pouches, filling them with dried flowers, tying them with ribbon. The act itself is calming. The slow, repetitive, domestic. There's a kind of gentle power in that. When the world feels loud, you make something small and fragrant. You place it near the bed. You tell yourself, this will help. And sometimes it does. You imagine the Victorian linen closet, an entire cupboard devoted to sheets and pillowcases, folded with precision, scented with lavender. The linens are aired, pressed, and kept away from damp. The scent becomes part of the household's personality. If you grew up in such a home, lavender becomes your brain's bedtime cue. Like modern white noise or a particular playlist, it signals sleep. Historians still argue whether Victorian aromatherapy practices were primarily rooted in genuine herbal knowledge or simply domestic tradition and comfort. But the effect of scent on memory and mood is real, even if they don't explain it scientifically. And now you are experiencing it yourself. You inhale and your mind loosens a little more. But lavender isn't alone. Victorians use a whole garden's worth of sleep-friendly plants. You can practically feel the botanical enthusiasm. If the Victorians could have made a sleep smoothie out of herbs, they absolutely would have. You think of chamomile used as a calming tea. Hops, sometimes stuffed into pillows for drowsiness. Rose petals, for fragrance and comfort. Valerian, which is effective but smells like something that crawled out of a boot. Quirky tidbit. Hop pillows become popular in some circles. Small pillows stuffed with dried hops, believed to induce sleep. The smell is earthy and slightly bitter, like a sleepy beer garden. Some people swear by them. Others complain they smell like a brewery's laundry basket. You smile at that. Joke 1. Imagine explaining to your friends that your insomnia cure is sleeping on a beer pillow. But the Victorian love of scented bedding goes beyond herbs. It's also about linen. There's something deeply Victorian about crisp sheets. Linen is valued not only for comfort but for hygiene. It's breathable, can be boiled and washed. It signals cleanliness. And cleanliness is practically a religion in this era, especially as public health campaigns grow stronger later in the century. You picture sheets hanging on a line in a small courtyard, billowing in the wind. The air moves through them. Sunlight touches them. They dry stiff and fresh. Then they're folded and stored with lavender. It's a cycle of care, a rhythm, and it makes bedtime feel like the reward for domestic effort. You adjust the blanket again and feel the smoothness of the sheet beneath. It's cool against your skin. Not luxurious exactly, but clean. Victorians often believe that sleeping in clean sheets is not just pleasant, but healthful. Dirty bedding is thought to trap sweat and impurities, leading to illness. They might not know about bacteria in the modern sense, but they know that filth makes people sick. So bedding becomes part of sleep medicine. Now you begin to imagine the Victorian bedtime scene in more detail. The bedroom might have a small bowl of potpourri, dried petals and spices mixed together. The potpourri is meant to scent the room, masking unpleasant odors and creating a sense of refinement. Potpourri is basically Victorian air freshener, except it looks like a decorative salad. Joke 2. If you ever wondered what happens when a society refuses to admit that sometimes rooms just smell weird, potpourri is the answer. But scent isn't only about masking. It's also about mood. Victorians understand that the senses influence the mind. Pleasant smell calms. A harsh smell agitates. A familiar smell comforts. This leads to the practice of scenting pillows and handkerchiefs. Some people even dab lavender water on their temples before bed. Lavender water, made by infusing lavender in alcohol or water, becomes a common household product. It's used for everything: scent, cleaning, headaches, faintness, and of course, sleep. You picture a small bottle on a bedside table, labeled in neat script. The bottle looks innocent, but it holds the power of suggestion. You sniff it, and your brain begins to associate it with rest. And in the Victorian era, suggestion is powerful. Not because Victorians are gullible, though some are, as humans always are, but because ritual matters. When you believe something will calm you, you relax. When you relax, sleep comes easier. That's not fake. That's physiology. Now you think about the other side of Victorian sleep. The fear of bad smells. They worry about foul air causing illness. They fear the stench of drains, refuse, and overcrowding. In cities, especially poorer neighborhoods, smells can be intense. So scent becomes a kind of defense. Lavender is not only calming, it's protective. Some people believe fragrant herbs can ward off disease. Even after germ theory begins to replace miasma theory, the habit remains. Keep things fresh, keep things scented, keep illness away. You can imagine lavender sachets being tucked not just into pillows but into drawers, pockets, and even carried on the person. And now, lying here, you feel like you're participating in a quiet domestic magic. A Victorian spell against restlessness. You breathe slowly. Your eyelids feel heavier. But you're not fully asleep yet, because the Victorian world is full of competing advice. For every lavender sachet, there's another remedy. For every calming scent, there's another ritual. And you begin to wonder, what else do Victorians do to calm the body? This is where water enters the story. Because Victorians are obsessed with water cures. Warm baths, cold splashes, skin brushing, spa treatments. Hydropathy becomes fashionable, especially among the middle and upper classes. And soon, you'll leave the world of lavender and step into the world of baths, where the Victorians try to wash insomnia away like it's dirt on the skin. But for now, you stay with lavender. You press your face into the pillow slightly, letting the scent surround you. The sachet feels like a small cushion within the cushion, a pocket of calm. You think about the people who came before you. Victorian men and women lying in beds across the city, breathing in lavender, hoping for sleep. Some of them are exhausted from work. Some are anxious. Some are lonely. Some are sick. But all of them want the same thing, for the mind to finally quiet. And lavender offers a gentle promise. It doesn't knock you out. It doesn't force sleep. It simply invites it. Your breathing slows. Your thoughts soften at the edges. Outside, the city's noise fades further. The fog thickens. The gas lamps flicker. And you begin to drift, carried by scent and linen and the slow domestic rhythm of a Victorian night. You drift in that lavender-soft space for a while, where your thoughts become slower and rounder, like pebbles worn smooth by water. And that's fitting because now the Victorian mind begins to tug you toward the next great obsession of the era. Water. If lavender is the gentle perfume of sleep, water is the Victorian hammer. Because when Victorians find something wrong, nerves, digestion, sleeplessness, melancholy, they often decide the solution is either to bathe it, soak it, splash it, or wrap it in wet cloth until it behaves. And yes, this is an actual cultural moment. The 19th century experiences a widespread fascination with hydropathy, also called the water cure. It's part medicine, part wellness trend, part social club for people who like being told they're doing something healthy. Mainstream historical fact, hydropathy becomes popular in Britain and Europe during the 19th century, with water cure establishments and home practices recommending baths, compresses, and cold water treatments for various ailments, including nervous disorders and sleeplessness. So as you lie in bed, still scented with lavender, you imagine what a Victorian doctor, or perhaps a fashionable friend with opinions, would suggest next. You must take the waters. Not metaphorically, literally. You picture yourself earlier in the evening, before bed, preparing for the bath. Victorian homes don't always have built-in plumbing like modern ones. Even middle-class houses may rely on servants or household members to carry hot water upstairs in heavy jugs. So the bath itself is a ritual. Production. In a wealthier home, a maid brings in a large tub, often tin or copper, placing it near the fire or in a warm corner. She pours in hot water, then cold, testing the temperature carefully. In a modest lodging like yours, the bath may be smaller, more of a wash basin situation. But the ideal remains. A proper bath to calm the body. Victorians believe warm baths relax the nerves. They soothe muscles. They encourage sleep. They also make you feel clean, which is psychologically calming in an era that associates cleanliness with virtue. You can almost feel it, the warm water, the steam, the quiet. Your body loosening like a knot undone. And then, because the Victorians can never leave a good thing alone, they add rules. Warm baths are recommended, but not too warm, not too long, not too often. Everything must be balanced. Some doctors warn that overly hot baths can weaken the body, overstimulate circulation, and make sleep worse. Others insist that a warm bath, followed by a brisk rubdown, is perfect. Historians still argue whether Victorian hydropathy was more effective as a genuine therapeutic practice or as a placebo-driven lifestyle change, removing people from stressful environments and placing them in quiet routines. But the relaxation element is undeniable. Now, the warm bath is the gentle version. The cold water version is where things get spicy. Victorians love cold water in a way that suggests they are trying to build character through suffering. Cold plunges, cold sponging, cold compresses. The logic is that cold water tones the system, strengthens nerves, and improves circulation. This is where you begin to suspect the Victorian nervous system is treated like a misbehaving child. Shock it into obedience. Quirky tidbit. Some water cure practitioners recommend wrapping the body in cold wet sheets, called the wet sheet pack, to calm agitation and induce sleep. You are essentially swaddled like a Victorian burrito and left to cool the nerves. Imagine that. You lying in a cold damp sheet, being told, "Now relax." Joke 1. If someone wraps you in a wet sheet and calls it medicine, you're either in Victorian England or you've joined a very niche modern spa. But the Victorians truly believe in it. The wet sheet pack is used in hydropathic institutions for insomnia, anxiety, and nervous excitement. The theory is that the cold calms the body, reduces inflammation, and encourages sleep. And then, as the body warms itself under the sheet, you begin to sweat slightly, and the sheet becomes warm and damp, creating a strange cocoon effect. It's not entirely unreasonable. It's just intense. Now you imagine yourself at a hydropathic establishment. These places are often set in the countryside. Fresh air, quiet surroundings. People go there to take the cure, escaping city stress. They walk, drink water, bathe, rest. It's like a Victorian wellness retreat, except with more rules and fewer yoga pants. You picture yourself arriving with a small suitcase, being greeted by a stern attendant who immediately informs you of your bathing schedule. Cold plunge at 6, wrap at 8, walk at 10, bed at 9. No exciting novels. You nod obediently because you are tired and you will do anything for sleep. Joke 2. The Victorian sleep cure is basically being put on a strict bedtime by someone who looks disappointed in you. But water therapy isn't only institutional. It's domestic too. Victorian household guides recommend evening routines involving water. A warm foot bath is a common suggestion. The logic: warm feet draw blood away from the head, calming the brain. Yes, the blood flow theory again. So you picture yourself sitting by the bed with a basin of warm water, soaking your feet. Perhaps a bit of salt is added. Perhaps mustard, if someone is feeling dramatic. Your feet warm. Your body relaxes. Your mind slows. This is actually lovely. And then you dry your feet thoroughly, because Victorians fear dampness like it's a villain in a melodrama. Damp feet are thought to cause colds, chills, and general ruin. So you rub them briskly with a towel. Maybe you put on wool socks. You climb into bed feeling cozy and safe. This practice persists into modern times. Warm foot baths are still recommended for relaxation. Now, there's another water-related bedtime habit: sponging. Victorian advice sometimes suggests washing the face, neck, and chest with cool water before bed, followed by vigorous rubbing with a towel. This is meant to tone the skin and refresh the body. They also love skin brushing, using a stiff brush to stimulate circulation and remove dead skin. It's like Victorian exfoliation, but with the energy of someone trying to sand a table. You imagine yourself brushing your skin before bed, feeling oddly invigorated and slightly insulted. Joke 3. Nothing says, "Time to relax," like scrubbing yourself as if you're a dirty potato. But again, there's logic. The ritual is calming. The body feels refreshed. The routine signals bedtime. Victorians also recommend compresses, cold cloths on the forehead, or warm cloths on the stomach, depending on what they think is causing the insomnia. If you have a headache, cool the head. If your digestion is upset, warm the belly. If your nerves are agitated, cool the spine. It's like the Victorian body is a complicated machine with specific temperature settings. And the truth is, temperature manipulation does affect comfort. A cool cloth on the forehead can be soothing. A warm compress on the stomach can relax muscles. They might not have the scientific explanation, but they have practical experience. You lie in bed and imagine these rituals layering together. Lavender pillow, aired room, warm foot bath, cool cloth on the forehead. It begins to sound like a bedtime spa routine, except you have to do it all yourself, and the water is carried upstairs in buckets. Victorian life is not for the weak-armed. As you rest, you begin to sense how deeply the Victorians believe in physical solutions. Sleep is not just mental, it's bodily. If the body is